What just went down this weekend didn't just turn the NASCAR Cup Series upside down. It may have permanently shifted the energy of this entire 2026 season. And here's the thing, that's only part of what we need to talk about. Because while one driver just rewrote the record books in a way nobody has ever seen, something else is quietly bubbling underneath the surface. Real tension, the kind that doesn't stay quiet for long. The kind that turns a rivalry into an all-out war. Two massive stories are coming out of COTA right now. One played out in front of millions on the track. The other, it's happening behind closed doors in the garage. And trust me, both of these stories will define how this entire 2026 championship battle plays out. Stay with me, because this one is big. And if you're a true NASCAR fan who bleeds this sport every single week, hit that like button right now and make sure you're subscribed to NASCAR Zone. We break it all down, no fluff, no filler, just real passionate NASCAR talk. Let's get into it. Story number one. And this is the one that people will be talking about for years. Tyler Reddick just did something that has never happened in the entire history of the NASCAR Cup Series. Not in the modern era. Not in the old school era. Never. Not once in over 7 decades of this sport. Driving the number 45 Toyota for 23XI Racing, the powerhouse team co-owned by basketball legend Michael Jordan and two-time Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin, Reddick opened the 2026 season with wins at Daytona, Atlanta, and now COTA. 3 straight races. 3 checkered flags. 0 defeats. Nobody has ever started a Cup Series season like that. Not Jeff Gordon. Not Jimmy Johnson. Not Dale Earnhardt. Nobody. Let that land for a second. And 23XI Racing. They became the first team to capture the opening 3 races of a season since Petty Enterprises did it way back in 1963. Over 60 years ago. Richard Petty's era. That is the kind of history we just witnessed on Sunday. But here's what makes this story even more remarkable. Reddick had to go through Shane Van Gisbergen to get it done. SVG. The undisputed road course king of modern NASCAR. The guy who has turned road courses into his own personal playground since the moment he arrived in this series. The guy who most people assumed would simply dominate COTA the way he always does. And SVG made it hard. He started 13th and did what he always does on a road course. Carved through the field with precision and confidence like a man who simply belongs on circuits. By the end of Stage 1, he had already climbed to 3rd. He and Ross Chastain had short-pitted early, giving up stage points in exchange for track position, a calculated gamble that very nearly paid off. Chastain actually won Stage 1, followed by SVG, then Michael McDowell, Chris Buescher, A.J. Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott, Carson Hocevar, and Denny Hamlin. Ryan Blaney had been showing genuine long-run pace in the opening laps, hunting down Chase Briscoe and threatening to take control, before pit strategy completely flipped the race on its head. Stage 2 is where things got chaotic. Blaney grabbed the lead back during pit cycles. SVG restarted 15th on fresher rubber, ready to charge. Then the crashes started. Connor Zilisch spun in Turn 1 after contact with Daniel Suarez. Noah Gragson lost it between turns 6A and 6B. Josh Berry went around mid-pack, but somehow kept it going. Alex Bowman picked up a drive-through penalty for an uncontrolled tire during his pit stop. Austin Cindric's afternoon fell apart when his shifter broke, costing him massive track position. Up front, Reddick took the lead for the very first time. Starting from the pole, he had circled patiently and waited for his moment. But with 3 laps remaining in Stage 2, he made a decision that tells you everything about this team's mentality. He pitted from the lead. He gave away the stage win on purpose. Sacrificed guaranteed points for better track position heading into the final stage. Championship mindset. Short-term pain for long-term gain. That move handed Stage 2 to Ty Gibbs, followed by Allmendinger, Suarez, Todd Gilliland, Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Blaney, Cole Custer, William Byron, and SVG. Stage 3. This is where it all came together. And fell apart for some. Reddick and Blaney led the way. SVG worked his way into 5th and was hunting. Eric Jones spun in the back section but managed to recover. Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell were engaged in a fierce door-to-door battle inside the top 10, the kind of racing that reminds you why road courses are must-watch television. Then disaster hit Chase Briscoe. Something catastrophic failed in the rear end of his car with 32 laps remaining. Running inside the top 5, he was suddenly done. First car forced to the garage. Green flag pit stops began. Reddick pitted with 26 laps to go. Blaney followed. SVG came in a lap later. And then, chaos. Ross Chastain, your Stage 1 winner, went spinning wildly off track when a wheel came completely loose and detached from his car. NASCAR threw the caution immediately. Chastain was held on pit road for 2 laps as punishment, and additional penalties are expected before next weekend. During the caution window, several teams made the call to pit for fresh tires, but Reddick, Blaney, SVG, and Zilisch all stayed out on older rubber. That one strategic decision shaped everything that was about to happen. Meanwhile, Alex Bowman climbed out of the number 48 Chevrolet feeling physically ill. Matt Snyder stepped in and completed the race in his place for Hendrick Motorsports. On the restart, SVG made his signature move, passed Blaney for second, and set his sights on Reddick. Zilisch spun again in turn 1, his second incident of the afternoon, collecting Zane Smith and effectively ending both their days. Further back, Kyle Busch made contact with teammate Jesse Love, which triggered a spin from Bisher at the exit of the final corner. But up front, it was exactly what every NASCAR fan had hoped for. Reddick versus SVG. Mano a mano. The history maker versus the road course king. Christopher Bell was charging hard on fresher tires, slicing his way up to third and threatening to make it a 3-way fight at the front. But the story was always going to be written by the top 2. SVG closed in. You could see him calculating. You could feel the tension building. Every single fan watching had the same thought. Here it comes. SVG is about to strike. But the run never came. Reddick was absolutely flawless. Calm under pressure. Smooth through every corner. Not a single error across the entire final stint. No moment where SVG could get close enough to make a real move. And with 5 laps to go, Van Gisbergen began to drop back. Tire were catching up, dirty air doing its damage, or simply the reality that Reddick had executed a near-perfect race. Reddick crossed the line nearly 4 seconds clear. Final top 5, Reddick, SVG for Trackhouse Racing, Christopher Bell for Joe Gibbs Racing, Ty Gibbs for Joe Gibbs Racing, and Michael McDowell for Spire Motorsports. Rounding out the top 10, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, AJ Allmendinger, and Denny Hamlin. 95 laps, 2 hours, 58 minutes, and 52 seconds. 3 wins, 3 races. Reddick said it perfectly after stepping out of the car, beating SVG on a road course. The Guille had been chasing for a while now, made this one hit completely different from anything he had experienced before. You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in how his team celebrated. This was not just another win. This was a statement. Now here is where story number 2 comes in. Because apparently, not everybody in that garage is simply clapping their hands and moving on. According to reports from sources close to the paddock, Shane Van Gisbergen allegedly made some serious internal remarks questioning Reddick's performance at COTA. And before you dismiss this as just normal post-race frustration from a competitive driver, listen to the details. These were not public comments. SVG did not walk up to a microphone and say any of this on camera. These were reportedly private conversations, statements made to team members, engineers, and close associates behind closed doors in the garage. But they leaked. And once something like this gets out in this sport, it does not stay quiet for long. So what exactly is being claimed? That Reddick's number 45 Toyota may carry an aerodynamic advantage that simply isn't visible to the naked eye during inspection. That the cornering grip on that car looked beyond what the current regulations should realistically allow. That the straight-line speed was stronger than what the competition was producing given similar setups. That tire wear on the number 45 appeared unusually and suspiciously low compared to nearly every other car on the circuit, including SVG's own Trackhouse, Chevrolet, running a similar strategy. There were even specific references to subtle aerodynamic tweaks that are deliberately designed to be difficult to detect during post-race inspection, possible ballast placement to optimize weight distribution in ways that push technical boundaries, and exceptional corner exit stability that several engineers reportedly found hard to explain. Now, and this part is critical, there is zero official confirmation of anything irregular happening. NASCAR has not opened a formal investigation. 2311 Racing has not released any kind of statement. Nothing has been announced. Nothing is on record. These were reportedly private words spoken in private spaces by a frustrated competitor. But the mood in the paddock. Insiders say the atmosphere has shifted. It is tense in ways that go beyond normal post-race emotions. And honestly, think about it from a purely logical standpoint. 3 wins in a row to open a season. A dominant display at COTA specifically, the track where everyone expected SVG to be in total command based on everything he has done on road courses over the past 2 seasons. A comfortable winning margin maintained under serious late race pressure with older tires. When any team in any motorsport performs at that level, people begin looking closer. That is simply the reality of elite competition at the highest level. So which is it? Is this the frustration of one of the most competitive drivers on the grid who got beaten straight up by someone who was simply better on the day? Or is there a genuine, legitimate technical concern beginning to develop inside the sport that could grow into something much bigger? Here is the honest take. When you are making the kind of history Reddick is making right now, scrutiny follows automatically. That is unavoidable, especially in the next-gen era, where the entire point of the car was to tighten up the technical regulations and level the playing field. When one team finds what looks like a significant and consistent advantage, the rest of the garage pays attention. They talk, and sometimes those conversations leak. But here is the bottom line. Until NASCAR finds something concrete and acts on it, this remains talk. Strong talk. Talk that has clearly rattled some people in the paddock. But still just talk. What it absolutely does accomplish is turn this rivalry up to a level we have not seen yet in 2026. Reddick versus SVG is no longer simply a road course matchup to circle on the calendar. This is now about something deeper. Pride, legitimacy, dominance. Who truly owns this era of NASCAR and what it means to make history in this sport? From a pure championship perspective, Tyler Reddick sits at the very top of the Cup Series standings right now, and it is not particularly close. 3 playoff berths essentially secured before most of his competitors have even found their rhythm or won their first race of the season. The momentum inside that 23-11 garage is real, and it is building. The confidence must be at an all-time high. Michael Jordan's team is making history, and they know it. Think about what it took to get here. 2311 Racing has grown rapidly since its founding in 2021. They now field 2 full-time entries. They have attracted elite talent and serious sponsorship. And now they are doing something that Richard Petty's organization last accomplished over 60 years ago. The growth curve of this team has been remarkable, and Sunday at COTA may represent the moment where the entire NASCAR world has to acknowledge them as genuine championship contenders. Not just a feel-good story, but a legitimate threat to win it all. As for SVG, he is still one of the most dangerous drivers in this field, especially with road courses still on the schedule. Watkins Glen, Sonoma, the Chicago Street Course, those are all coming. He will have his chances to answer. And knowing his mentality and his history in this sport, you can be absolutely certain he will come back with something to prove. If everything stays clean and above board, we could genuinely be witnessing one of the most dominant and historic season-opening runs in the modern era of NASCAR. The kind of start that people reference for decades. If this turns controversial and NASCAR finds something that validates the concerns being raised quietly in that garage, this becomes the defining technical scandal of the 2026 season. No question, it would reshape the entire championship picture and put a massive asterisk next to everything that has happened so far. Either way, the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series has already become must-watch television every single week. And that is exactly what makes this sport unlike anything else out there. The racing, the strategy, the politics, the drama, the rivalries that refuse to stay simple or stay clean. So I want to hear from you right now. Is this just competitive frustration from SVG after a tough loss to a driver who outperformed him on the day? Or is there something genuinely deeper happening underneath all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have that conversation. I read every single one. And if you are watching NASCAR Zone and you love this kind of deep, passionate, no-fluff NASCAR coverage, hit the like button, subscribe, and come back every single week. We are building something real here for fans who actually care about this sport at the deepest level. I will see you in the next one.